Hey guys, so I know I haven't done any videos in a while, between work and studying for some certifications and just a lot of, moved to a new apartment. Just been really busy and just kind of put the videos on the back burner. But it seemed like with Star Wars Celebration last weekend and the Episode 9 trailer dropping and Mandalorian stuff and just all the awesome Star Wars stuff that we had come out last weekend. Seemed like as good a time as any, the perfect time really, to jump back in, start making videos again, especially Star Wars focused videos, because we have so much awesome stuff coming up in 2019. It just seemed like a crime not to, to jump back in and start, making review videos and unboxings and I'm going to start getting back into the comics, get caught up there, hopefully do some comic reviews and things like that. Be reviewing The Mandalorian, obviously. I want to be at Galaxy's Edge. I keep wanting to call it Star Wars Land, like pretty much everybody will. But yeah, I definitely want to try to make it to Galaxy's Edge before the end of the year, if at all possible. That's definitely, if that's in the cards, that's definitely the plan. Yeah, so I thought we'd kick off this new era of Star Wars content on my YouTube channel here, Nerd Frequency, by just kind of recapping and giving my thoughts on the Episode 9 trailer, The Rise of Skywalker. So let's start there, the title. So I'm really glad that the title didn't leak. I was really worried about that, especially with it being on t-shirts and things like that. I can't believe that nobody, snapped a picture of those, opened up a box they weren't supposed to. I'm assuming they had it, all that stuff quarantined into like some sort of a shipping container with armed security guards or something. Because yeah, it definitely didn't leak. And I am on Reddit. I follow Star Wars leaks. Even though it's weird because I follow Star Wars leaks, but I'm not real big into spoilers. It's just Star Wars Leaks is a great place to kind of aggregate all the official news. But as we get closer to the actual Episode 9 release, I'll probably unsubscribe because I don't want any real leaks. I don't want any spoilers about deaths or, if Kylo gets redeemed or something like that. I don't want to know any of that type of stuff. I just like the little things like, oh, we found a Lego box that has this ship on it or something like that. Those are kind of leaks that I like, little tidbits like that. So anyways, back to the trailer. So it starts off with Rey, breathing, and then we get that great voiceover by Luke telling her, this is your fight now, 1,000 generations live in you, we've passed on all we know. And I thought that was really cool. It really set up like, okay, this is Rey's story, but don't worry, even if she's not a Skywalker, which I don't think she is, I don't really want her to be. I like the way The Last Jedi set up her lineage. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but that's just, that's my personal thoughts on it. I like that it was like, well, you don't have to be related by blood because all of the knowledge, all of the things that we've learned, all of our failures, everything, that's all been passed on to you now. Excuse me. Take the baton and run with it. We're passing it on. So that was really cool. And then, oh my God, the way that was a great shot by JJ. The way the TIE fighter, whatever type of TIE fighter it is, TIE Echelon, or I'm not exactly sure if we even know what type of TIE it is. But anyway, so the TIE fighter variant comes in, and there's like this great panning shot, and the way the sound, like there's like this tension, this long drawn out tension, almost like the drop before like a techno or house song, and then you just you get the TIE fighter zoom by the camera, and then you hear the pitch, the classic TIE fighter scream, and then you see Rey start running. And I heard a couple people say that Rey's pose there looked a little awkward or weird, and I do think it was a little clunky. I don't know if maybe that was just the editing and it won't really quite look like that in the final version of the film, but it did look a little like she was getting down into a track running position. It looked a little weird, but that's a minor tiny gripe. Yeah, so that's a tiny minor gripe there, because it all leads up to that epic build of what I'm assuming is John Williams doing this sound for the music for the trailer, whatever, because you get this great, sound whenever she does the flip, and they cut right before we actually see what it is that she's doing. Of course, a lot of people are speculating that this is training. I get why people are thinking that, but I don't. If it was training, why would the TIE Fighter be coming from so far away? And why would they show us Rey and Kylo training together? And why the hell would she be training with an active light, like with the lightsaber blade out? If something went wrong, she just killed Kylo. So I get why people are saying that. I don't agree. I don't think it's training. I hope it's not training. Dude, it's the episode 9, end of the Skywalker saga. We don't have time for any more training. Let's go. Let's get to some story. She trained with Luke on Octu, so that's enough training for me. Let's go. Anyways, and then it cuts to that the ship, which a lot of people are saying it looks like the ship that was in the flashback in The Force Awakens. I see why they say that, but I don't think that it looks close enough to it to be that ship, and even if it was, I don't think that ties into anything. So we get that ship going to some sort of a planet. We don't know exactly what it is. We do know that Kevin Smith just said that, I have John Williams music on the brain. Kevin Smith said that was the only thing that he saw when he was on set, was that city that ship is flying to, and according to him, he said that it was like the largest set that he had ever seen, which was really good to hear, because that's one of the things that I really loved about The Last Jedi, was seeing the behind the scenes and how many different sets they had to build. I just like the ambition of it. I think Star Wars should always, push the envelope about regarding what's possible, and I never want to feel like Star Wars is cutting corners, which is something I have felt a little bit in, not so much in quality, but just the timetable, the 2 every year, and all the directors being fired and things like that. It's really felt like they've, you worry about them cutting corners, and it's good to hear that, no, like they, pulled out all the stops. They didn't choose a smaller set just to make it easier for production and their timeline of getting it out in December. According to Kevin Smith, this was the largest set he's ever seen. So that was good to hear. Then we get just some standard shots of the 2 droids, BB-8 and Dio, I think. We get a Falcon behind, looking out of the cockpit shot. Then we get that awesome shot of Billy D. Williams laughing. It's great to see him back. Then we get, I believe, Leia. We get a shot of the medal. We don't know if it's Luke or Han's medal. I'm sure we'll find out. Then we get the great shot of Leia. And I think, other than it just being great to see Leia, it's good to see that it was pretty seamless. JJ has said that you're going to be amazed at how seamless they were able to work her into the film. And so far, just from an image, the way it looked standpoint, we don't know the story obviously, but it looked pretty seamless. So that was good to see. Then we see the great shot of the rocket troopers or jetpack troopers flying through the the sandstorm there, and then we get they're obviously chasing Poe, Finn, and 3PO, and that was a great shot because 3PO is holding on to what looks like a mast of like a pirate ship on this skiff. Kind of looks like a Tatooine Jabba's barge skiff, so that was cool. Then we get what looks, I think, if you slow it down, looks like an A-wing crashing into some sort of Star Destroyer, so that's great to see. I really hope we get a lot of... That's the one thing we really didn't get in this trailer that I'm sure we will. I can't imagine that they would just sideline one of the most important parts of Star Wars, which is the actual war, the Empire versus the Rebel Alliance, the First Order versus the Resistance, which is something that has been a little bit lacking in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. There was space battles. Well, there wasn't really space battles in The Force Awakens technically because they were all in atmosphere or whatever. But yeah, so I want to see those, Return of the Jedi style, Revenge of the Sith style battles, the epic Rogue One. Rogue One did it perfectly, maybe even better than Return of the Jedi. Was just this great epic space battle. I want to see troops on the ground. Rogue One. I want to see Rogue One style fights inside of my normal episodic Star Wars, and especially now because this is the last one. Yeah, so that was good. That's a good sign that we got a little glimpse of Star Destroyer, A-wing. That's a great sign. And then we get Poe, Finn, BB-8, C-3PO, and Rey looking over the crashed Star Destroyer. Oh, not Star Destroyer. Death Star in in the water. There's waves crashing over it. So I immediately realized that it was the Death Star. I'm assuming the second Death Star, but could be the first one, but probably the second Death Star. And I know a lot of people were speculating, different theories about, well, does that mean that Palpatine? Well, let's go ahead and get to that. And then it cuts. You hear Luke say, "No one's ever really gone." The line from The Last Jedi. You think it's about the good guys like Han never being gone, but it's actually, in this case, they flip it, turn it on its head, and you hear that great Palpatine Sheev Emperor cackle, and the crowd goes nuts. And then of course, the Celebration live stream, they actually brought out Ian McDermott to say that great line that's already iconic of "Roll it again." So we got that. That was awesome, and it really confirmed, as well as all the interviews afterwards, they confirmed the Emperor is officially back. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be any kind of like a little cameo. He's going to have some sort of a substantial role in the film as the big bad, as I think they put it in the lead up to the trailer. They were kind of teasing about a new big bad evil in the galaxy, so that makes sense. And at first I wasn't sure, when people would, speculate that the Emperor was going to be back in 9, I wasn't real sure how I felt about it until I really started thinking about how we're trying to close this whole thing up. And if you really think about echoes and bookending this thing, Palpatine was the Phantom Menace. He was the through line all the way through. I know he wasn't really in A New Hope. Well, he wasn't in New Hope at all. It's kind of in Empire Strikes Back, sort of, special editions. And then you get, of course he's in Return of the Jedi. So I think really he is kind of the main bad guy in all of these films. So it really makes sense to bring him back. And I'm okay with it if it's done well. They have to... So part of me wants them to really dive into this great outline of, Snoke was his henchman and he sent him out there, or whatever thing they come up with. But another part of me wants him to just say, Plagueis taught me how to cheat death, but hashtag Voldemort style, it took me a while, and I had to have my homies, the Knights of Ren, and some other dudes do some Force dark side magic voodoo to bring me back. That's where I've been chilling out in the Outer Rim for 30 years or whatever. So if it's done well, I'm super excited to have the Emperor back. I think it'll really give us some interesting story moments. I do wonder, though, if that really leads towards they are going to redeem Kylo, which I'm on the fence about. I don't know if I really need that. But more than anything, I just want it to all just feel like Star Wars. I want it to feel like Star Wars, but give me something I haven't seen. I don't want a carbon copy of Return of the Jedi. If Rey just goes in there and throws, like if Rey is, getting her ass kicked by Palpatine and Kylo throws his ass down a shaft, I'm going to be a little upset. Let's keep it real. But if Kylo turns, and then him, and Rey, and then Force Ghost Anakin, and Force Ghost Luke, and if they kill Leia in like the second act, Force Ghost Leia, now we're talking about the rise of Skywalker. And that is one thing that JJ said, I believe, afterwards, was it's going to make sense. The rise of Skywalker, it's not going to be ambiguous like, well, is Rey a Skywalker in episode 10? Or something like that. Like, you're going to understand why it's called The Rise of Skywalker once you see it. So, I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. That's what's so great about this trailer is it leads to all this great speculation and fun stuff. I totally disagree with the people online who are like, oh, because it has Rise of Skywalker, that means Rise of Skywalker, and JJ is retconning all of what Rian Johnson did. I don't think that at all. I don't think that. I mean, he did say there was more to the story when asked about Rey's parents. So, but I think that could easily just be, yeah, there's more to her story, meaning whatever. That could mean a million different things. Could be, I don't know exactly what it could mean, but they're not going to say, oh, that thing actually didn't happen. We're just kidding about what you saw in the last movie. We're just going to change that, even though it was only 2 years ago. It's not like people forgot. So those were my thoughts on the trailer. Leave comments below because I really want to know what y'all thought. Overall, I think it's really gotten a positive, not review, there's no reviews about the trailer, but a reaction. It's really gotten a positive reaction online. Everybody seems really pumped about it. I've heard a few things about, it wasn't as great as I wanted it to be. But overall, from my point of view, for my taste, I thought it was an awesome trailer. And oddly enough, I think my favorite part, other than the Emperor's laugh, because come on, that's the best part, was Rey jumping over the TIE fighter. Because that, one, it was just so badass. And two, because, and they said this a lot of times in the panel, that they didn't say exactly how much time, but they made it clear that a lot of time has passed. I don't know, a lot of time, maybe 2 years, 3 years, which is something that I was really, really pulling for a couple of different reasons. One, because it's a war. It's Star Wars. You need time to have a war. You can't have a war in 2 weeks. If we're wrapping this thing up in 9, you need the war to last more than a couple months. So, it needs to last a couple years at least. So that makes sense to me. And two, because I really think if they hadn't done that, they would have. Obviously, Resistance is probably going to fill out that 2 to 3 years or whatever it is in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, which I really want. But I'm also kind of hoping we get, and no offense to the Resistance, Star Wars Resistance, but I'm really hoping we get, I'm sure we'll get books and comics and all that. I really hope we get a more traditional Clone Wars / Rebels style show set in that 1 to 3 year period that really fleshes out the war, the battles, the soldiers on the ground. Don't get me wrong, I love the Jedi, I love the Force, I love Luke, all that stuff. So the original trilogy really had this great balance between Force users and like real one-on-one type fights between people wielding lightsabers and everyone else who wasn't Force sensitive, and the actual rebellion versus the Empire, the Resistance versus the First Order. So I'm really hoping we lean into some more of that Rebel versus Empire, that Rogue One type stuff, as I like to call it. But it is kind of funny because if you look at the all the movies we've gotten in the new era of Star Wars, so Rogue One was like all of that. It was all of that Empire versus Rebellion type stuff, whereas Solo was all of that underground rogue scoundrel 1313 smuggler type stuff, which is a great part of Star Wars that we all love. And then the trilogy movies, the saga movies, have really leaned into the Force side of things. So there's definitely still something for everyone, but I really want the trilogy movies to strike a little bit better balance between all sides of everything. And they haven't been bad at it by any stretch of the imagination. I would just like to see a little bit more of the state of the galaxy and even a little bit of politics. That's one thing I really wish we got more of in The Force Awakens was, just more about the state of the galaxy. And I know there's books and comics and there's going to be more coming out about that, especially in the future. But I wish we would have gotten, and I know they filmed a scene, there was a deleted scene where one of Leia's people, goes to the, and she was in one of the scenes on the balcony when Hazian Prime blows up, but there was a scene where she goes to like before the Senate to like request aid or support or something like that. Really wish they would have left that in and given us a little bit more of that. But yeah, anyways, this is, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm ranting about the entire, Star Wars trilogy here. So